Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Dr. Mark Arcuri coming to you again from Santa Fe, New Mexico this evening. And I can see myself on the corner of the screen. I'm not sure what that's about, but in any case, I'm here and we've got a couple of new formatting things tonight. One is, as you can see, this vertical stream that we're trying out because we want to be a little bit more mobile friendly for the masses of people out there that like to watch and and check out things on the internet on their mobile devices. So we're going to be a little bit more mobile friendly tonight. See how that works out. If it doesn't work, then we won't do it again. And so give us your feedback if you like. And and the second thing is that I'm sitting here on a bouncy ball that I got, which is pretty much bigger than my office, but it works, and I'm still getting used to it. It's kind of hurting my neck, but anyway, so I'm going to do my best to stay in this narrow vertical stream that we have going, and not be off to the side someplace where you can't see me. But if I do, you'll still be able to hear me. So hopefully that'll be a good experience. So two things. Number one, tonight we're going to be talking more about flow, where we left off last time. And tonight we're going to be talking more about the value of staying in the moment and how that can help us to either remain in a flow that we're liking or to shift a little bit into a different flow without working too hard so that we can have a more beneficial experience, I guess we can say, and kind of direct things to where we want them to go without feeling like we're going against the flow and resisting too much. So that's the topic for tonight. And the second thing, really important at the end, going to be shaking this jar again and picking another winner for the still December, free coaching package because last week's winner did not come forth. We couldn't track her down. We did our best. And as promised, we're going to pick somebody else tonight, and it's going to be an interesting thing because what I'm going to say is if you win tonight and you didn't win last week, what does that mean? What does that mean about your energetic lining up with doing this free coaching package that you didn't have last week, but tonight it was there? So just put a thought out there. Anyway, so here we are, and we're going to talk about flow again. And if you remember last week, we talked about flow, and we talked about flow theory by the guy that I couldn't pronounce his name, and it's in the comments on Facebook Live and on the website, drmarkacure.com. His name is there if you'd like to look it up. But basically the idea that the goal is in our life experiences to be in this really sweet spot of flow, kind of this diagonal line that dissects the two axes of a graph, and those axes are our ability to handle the stressors that we have in our life or the challenges, and that those challenges are appropriate to what we want to be experiencing. So basically, if our challenges are too great relative to the perceived ability to handle those challenges, we get depressed. We get anxious. I'm sorry. It's just kind of a place we don't want to be because we feel like we can't handle what's going on. So we get anxious about that. On the other hand, if we're on the other side of that graph, on the other side of that sweet spot, and we find that the challenges in our life really don't challenge us all that much, and we're overqualified in a sense to deal with the things that come at us from day to day, over time that gets us depressed because we're not very fulfilled in our life, and we feel like we need something different. And we talked about how when we're in that flow, regardless of what it is, we've got to try not to fight against it. So the analogy that I used, and it comes from Abraham Hicks, is that we're going downstream as much as possible, that we're not trying to paddle upstream because we don't get any place when we do that. And so we want to be able to find a way to be comfortable enough in the stream. But in tonight's topic, how do we begin to divert that water flow a little bit if we do want that stream to go in a different place, but we're not quite wanting to mount such a fight against it that it puts us in a worse place than we were to begin with. So, so being in that flow, going downstream, even if it's a stream that we don't want to be going, if the stream is going in a direction we don't want to be going, it doesn't mean that we're in a passive place and that we have absolutely no say in what happens. You know, if you think about a stream in the mountains here in Santa Fe, and you put a leaf in the water, and it goes down to the it goes down to the basin that might empty out into some place you don't want to go. Um, that leaf, being a leaf, doesn't have a whole lot of choice in that process, but we do. Even if we're kind of like that leaf and we're going down that stream, or we're in a raft and we're going down the stream, we still have some choices that we can make and some things that we can do to divert that flow. And it's intention and our ability to use intention that makes us different from that leaf, and that allows us to get into a different energy relationship with our life, and to move that flow into a different direction without us having to fight against it. And so, as we said last week, the energy, when there are challenges in our life and we've gotten into this energy connection, and we're starting to experience things that we don't want to necessarily experience, we've still had a hand in creating them. Those things are still at least partly, and I would say largely, of our own doing, even if we don't understand that. The energy that you connect with brings you into a flow that takes you where you're going. But one day you wake up and you find that you're going in a direction that you really don't want to go. And even if you're not sure how that all started, the assumption is that you did have a hand in it, and now, because you did have a hand in creating that flow to begin with, you have the ability um, to shift it, to divert it off into a diversion channel, I guess maybe as a metaphor, so that you can begin to shift your energy through intention and through other experience, through other things that you can do to create a different experience in your day, so that over time that stream will indeed shift into another direction. So you don't have to fight against it. You don't have to go upstream. You don't have to paddle to the point where you get so exhausted that you're not moving at all. You just simply begin to make small changes that over time connect you with a different energy, and that energy begins to shift that stream into a different direction. So if you're in a flow that you don't like, and you assume that you've attracted it, as I said, and you feel like you're stuck in it, you've got to understand that fighting it, resisting it, that only keeps you stuck, because eventually you're going to get exhausted, and eventually your boat or your raft or that leaf is going to stand still if it had the ability to try to go upstream. I think only salmon know how to go upstream, but they get pretty exhausted in the process. So you start to use intention to begin shifting your energy relationship, and thus shifting your day. So one of the best ways to do that is to get out of your head. You've got to tune into how you feel. Stop thinking about things. And that's very, very difficult to do. I know that, believe me. But it's the most important thing you can do, is to go and find ways to tune into how you feel, and then to go with what feels important or most important in any given moment. And if you can take your day moment to moment, instead of day by day, instead of week by week, but moment to moment, it's not that hard to tune into how you feel in that moment, and then be inspired to do whatever it is that you feel inspired to do based on how you feel. So last week I talked about Carlos and me, and how we're going through some big business changes. And these are not changes that we anticipated. Well, maybe we anticipated them a little bit, but they're not changes that we decided that we wanted to make, but they happened. We have to respond to them. So we have to ask ourselves, what is our motivation? What is our motivation? And was our motivation a little bit off in what we were doing before? And did that offness in the motivation create an energy flow or an energy stream that took us in a direction in our stream that we didn't really want to go, that direction being the business changes that we're currently going through? So, it's very easy to get into a flow motivated by money when you're in business, staying afloat, not to use that metaphor lightly, but that's never been our motivation. We've been making good money, and we're very grateful for that, but the money is not our motivation. And I can't speak for Carlos in this, so I won't. But the motivation has to come from your authentic self. And when it does, when you're motivated to live your life in a way that comes from your authentic self, then you don't undergo these changes. So the assumption that I'm making, as I said last week, is that I somehow got into this place where the work I was doing was not really an authentic expression of who I am. And therefore, it kind of got off track. The stream diverted in a direction that I really didn't want to go. And that not knowing, or that knowing that it's a direction I don't want to go, is my indicator that I've disconnected from my authentic self. Okay? Does that make sense? So the assumption is that when you find your authentic self and you connect with the energy of what that is, you end up in a stream that takes you down in a direction that is consistent with that authentic self. And it's the universe that conspires, that orchestrates to make that happen. So the changes, such as Carlos and I are going through right now, are orchestrated also by the universe, in a sense, to show us that we're not going in a direction, or we weren't going in a direction that was really consistent with who we really were, regardless of the benefits that we might have been experiencing as we went through it. There's no question. We've loved every bit of what we're doing, and we'll continue to love what we're doing to the degree that we do it, but there's something else out there that is even more fulfilling, that's going to take up more of our time and allow us to be much more connected to who we are, and that will be a much truer expression of our authentic selves. So let me ask you right now, and we've done this in a sense before, if you've been watching the Facebook Live broadcasts and the broadcasts in other places, the segments, what is your true motivation? What's your motivation? So take a minute and think about that. Take a minute to try to tune into that. Let's pause for a moment, and kind of what perfect timing. The delivery man just left a box at the door. You might have heard the doorbell. And I know what that is. It's oranges from my mother. So how did I tune into that in this moment? What a wonderful gift, and I can't wait. So, but take a minute to tune in right now, and what is your best understanding of who you really are in this moment? What's your motivation for getting up in the morning? And again, if you've been following Facebook Live, we've asked that question before. So just kind of make a mental note of what that is. My motivation is to help people connect with or rediscover their authentic self. So my mission in this moment is to do something that helps you to connect with or to rediscover your authentic self, who you really are. And I'm passionate about this. And the reason that I'm passionate about this, and this helps me to know that this indeed is part of who I really am, is because I know what it's like to live a life that is not authentic to who I am. I came into this world in 1961, and I know I said my age before, so I don't mind saying that now. I came into this world, or into a world, that didn't want to know about what I was from the day that I was born. So I went through all those developmental years, and past those developmental years, and through high school and into my 20s, in a world that was telling me that who I wasn't who I should be, and therefore you better not live it. You better not be that person. And how that affected the rest of my life it would take days to dissect with you, because it's like tentacles going out from one of the tentacles, octopus, I guess, or maybe a spider web would be better, because there's so many more of those I can't think of the word, but those things going out. It affected everything in my life, and it was only when I began to realize that I couldn't continue living my life that way that I said no more, and I've got to begin chipping away at this inauthentic person that was built for me by well-meaning people in my life. I mean, there's no question, there's no anger about that, but by well-meaning people and by a society that didn't want to hear about what I was. And so I found myself being inauthentic in many parts of my life, not just the core pieces. And it takes a long time to get out of that. But that motivation that I have to help people kind of get out of that place in their life, get out of that inauthenticity and be true to who they are so that they can bring that to the world and change the world with that is profound. And I bet if you take a few moments, if you don't know what that is already, and identify what that motivation is and understand where it came from, and you begin to make decisions moment to moment, again, staying in that moment and not getting too far out where it just gets too big, but making decisions from that place of authenticity, from that motivation of what you want to accomplish in this world, you'll see that the stream that you're in, that we want you to go downstream in, not to fight against, but that stream will begin to divert. It'll begin to shift to take you to a place that is much more rewarding and much more fulfilling than where you are now, even if where you are now is pretty good. Carlos and I never complained about the work that we were doing before. But it doesn't mean that we can't shift into a place that's much better for us and much better for the people that we interface with and help as a result. So that's where I want to leave you tonight. Tuning into your passion, into who you really are, as you know it now. And it's going to develop over time. I've said that many times. But tuning into who you really are as you know that person now, and letting that inspire you in each and every moment to do what you feel inspired to do in that moment, so that you can gently reorient your flow and feel good about going downstream, knowing that you're going now to where you really want to go. So going with the flow is important, even if it's a flow that you don't necessarily want to be in. But going with the flow doesn't mean that you just go blindly down that river. By making small changes along the way that are not going against anything. And those small changes come from reconnecting with who you really are. You can begin to shift that flow into a much, much better place. All right? So think about that and let us know your thoughts. I mean, this is a lot to think about. Listen to this recording, audio, Facebook Live archives on Facebook or at drmarkarcuri.com. If you want to do the video part, great. If not, listen to the podcast that we'll be putting up. And have the conversation with us. Give us some comments. Ask questions. Tell us your experience. Tell us what doesn't make sense. I had someone on Instagram a couple of days ago ask me, how is it possible that if somebody criticizes you, that's a clue as to who you really are? So there's always an answer. I can always make one up, but I think they're pretty good. So and you'll find the answer to that question on the website at drmarkcuri.com on the Your Questions Answered tab. So, but have that conversation with us so that we can answer the questions, and maybe I'll record a video answering your questions as well. All right. So let's see who is energetically aligned with this free coaching package that we're trying to give away for December. So I'm going to stick my hand in here again, come up with a name. It better be a different one from before. I must have put the thing back in. I swear to God, it's the same person again. So I'm going to we've got to find a way to reach out and find this person, because I don't know how we are going to clear that energy. There's got to be something she needs, even if we can't get in touch with her. Well, I can tell you now that our new winner is not coming in April, but her name is April. And I know that we have a working email address for April, because we've emailed newsletters and things after she signed up, and we were able to not get any bounces from it. So April, you're the winner. So Carlos will be getting in touch with you in the next day or so and get a first session signed up. Thank you, everybody. If you want to enter this month's contest, which is for a couple of copies, well, one copy each, but a couple of, now I'm going to be all blurry. Here we go, of Life Aligned. Signed copy. I've only got a few left, so we're going to give a couple of those away and see what we can throw in as a surprise afterwards at the end of that, and when we do the drawing for that as well. So go ahead and sign up at drmarkarcuri.com. Pretty much on every page, you'll see a sign up for the free contest for January. And in the meantime, please take advantage of the resources at markarcuri.com, drmarkarcuri.com, and the videos and audios and newsletters and the visuals and all that stuff. So go ahead and take advantage of that stuff and let us know how you're doing, what your questions are, and we will answer them as we go. Lots of love and gratitude. Thank you so much for being here again from Santa Fe, New Mexico. We will see you next week. And let me just double check real quick. The topic next week here is going to be consciousness creates reality. So see you then. Can't wait. Thank you so much. Good night.